Sturgeon Bay Shipyard Tour 2012. All the boats getting ready for the year. It's May 5th. We start out at Great Lakes Yacht Facility between the bridges. See one of the custom sport yachts that Palmer built is parked down here today. Great Lakes Yacht, I think this is their repair facility where they do a lot of work. Lots of tools. We're in Great Lakes Storage Facility right here in Sturgeon Bay on Shipyard Day. Now we are going to make our way over to Palmer Johnson, the maker of custom yachts for clients worldwide. Palmer with
I'm John.
John. He gives a quick little overview of what's going on here with these big yachts.
All right, what we got right behind me is a 170-foot yacht. It's currently a spec boat. That means it doesn't have a client at this point, so we're just building it, figuring that we'll sell it at some time next year. Over here to my right, we've got a 210-footer. That one is currently sold, and the client is expecting delivery next spring.
210 feet?
Yes.
From start to finish, how long does it take to build something like that?
This one's 14 to 16 months. We'll have it completely wrapped up.
Where in the world is it going?
This is a Mediterranean boat. Could be Black Sea, depending on where the client wants to be when he takes delivery of it.
How many boats can you work on at one time?
Right now we've got capacity to work on 6 at a time.
6 at a time? Yeah, I heard recently there was some fresh orders, so things are looking pretty good.
Things are looking up. We've got a lot of people that are very interested in our product. We sell something that nobody else in the world does right now. So we've kind of got a corner on the market with sport yachts.
Very good.
So things are good.
All right, thank you. Back end of the 210-footer part of the shop here. It's pretty awesome. From here we are going to work our way over to Bay Ship, the maker of really big ships, just down the road in 3rd Avenue in Sturgeon Bay. Shipyards on Shipyard Tour Day. We're getting ready to go in. A short little tour. See the big ones with my daughter Tiviana. It's going to be fun. And our tour begins with Mark.
364 days a year, you can't get past that gate. but we have the one time a year where they've allowed us to come in and say, let's have the shipyards open for a tour. So we should be very thankful that Bay Ship, Palmer Johnson, and Great Lakes Yacht Services have all agreed to let us in and tour their facilities today. As an additional bonus, this year, unless it's got called out on a special sort of emergency, the United States Coast Guard cutter, the Mobile Bay, is open for tours also, and that's at the newest bridge at the west side. It's docked there, and they're all open till 2 o'clock, so I don't know what your timing is, but you got to pick and choose sometimes. And then there's also a Babbler bus. Babbler is the company's name, and it's running between the shipyards. I don't know if it's going to the Coast Guard vessel or not, but if your car's parked somewhere, that sometimes gets you there a little faster, in and out, and so forth. My name's Mark. I'm your tour guide today. I was an attorney here. I just retired at the end of the year. I've lived here for about 30 years. My wife is a native. I've taken this tour maybe half a dozen times, maybe a few more than that, and every time I come, there's something new I learn. So even if you go through it this year, and you say, well, I went through it last year, I don't have to do it again, you're going to find there's some new stuff. There's new ships here, there's new buildings, there are new things going on. Let me tell you a little bit about Bay Shipbuilding. It began when Manitowoc Company purchased this yard in 1968. Before that, yeah, there were shipyards, there were Christie Corporation and so forth, but kind of in its current form, Manitowoc Company is the one that got things going. And presently they bought additional land or whatever. There's about 50 acres here. Manitowoc Company doesn't own this facility anymore. I'll tell you about that a little later. Bay Shipbuilding has really two things that it works in. One thing it does ship repair and maintenance. You'll find that when you have one of these big ships, you've got to have it inspected every 5 years. They got to look at the hull. They got to make sure things are working. If it's not working, they got to fix it. That's one end of the system that Bay Ship has been working on. The other end is construction. They take pieces of metal and they build it up from scratch, and suddenly it's a 1,000-foot long vessel. So it's really kind of amazing all the things they do here. Bay Ship is the largest and busiest shipyard on the Great Lakes, and it's probably because of the 1,000-foot gravy dock, which is going to be our second stop today. And so we're going to look at that. Bay Ship is well known for its service to the approximately 60 Great Lakes ships, freighters. Those freighters on a yearly basis haul over 100 million tons of bulk commodities, mostly of which are iron ore, coal, stone, and cement. Bay Ship built a number of these vessels from scratch. And each winter, we're very fortunate here in Sturgeon Bay because we usually get about 25% of the Great Lakes fleet just docking here for the winter. Some of them for inspection, some just need a place to dock because the water freezes over or whatever. So last year we had 16 big ships just parked here, up and down the shore. And it's pretty amazing when you come down the hill from the west side and you see these big ships there. It's just, in the summer, what do you see? A couple. But in the winter, it's a lot different. Okay, I'm going to take you to the next stop. So we have 6 stops. They're all former employees. They're retired employees of Bay Shipbuilding. And I encourage you to ask questions because they have so much more knowledge. And they don't always tell us everything they know. They just tell us a little bit, and we got to ask the questions to get them out of there.
I probably won't live long enough to tell everything.
What is this blue thing here we got?
Something on wheels.
Yeah, what do they call that?
This is the overhead gantry crane. It has a lifting capacity of 200 ton, and the small block on the side of it is a capacity of 20 ton. And it goes up and down the dock at a rate of 3 miles per hour. On the other leg over there, there's a elevator that goes up for the operator. The only bad part about it is in the wintertime, if you get an ice storm, it ices everything up and you can't use the elevator. So they got to go to the other leg and walk up. When they get to the top, then they can de-ice it or whatever they have to do to get it operational. The operator sits in a glass case up there, and he's 135 feet above the ground. The trolley itself is 158 feet above the ground, and in his little control cab there, he has a scale, so anything that he picks up, he knows exactly how much it weighs. And he also has a sensing device in there. If the wind gets up to certain miles per hour, it sets off an alarm, and then they have to come in and tie the crane down. And like one fellow says, well, what kind of cables do you use? Well, it's not cables, it's just, when you tie down, that's just a term they use for, or a lot of times they'll say, put it in the barn. But the far end up there is where all the equipment is in. There's a large diesel engine in there, and it operates a hydraulic pump and also a generator. The hydraulic pump operates all the lifting equipment. The electric generator operates the electric motors that turn the wheels. Each one of them motors has a built-in heat sensor, so that it keeps at a certain temperature so that you don't get the hot and the cold and you get condensation and water and rust in the electric motors. And it also has...
When you come walk over this way as we're leaving it, you may want to look down here. There's a railing, like a railroad thing that it goes all the way down, and it goes all the way down to the water. So get an idea of how far it goes to get to the other end.
You can pick something up here and go to the other end, set it right in the water. And we've launched several yachts for Farmer Johnson. Picked them up with this thing.
Our next one project is the K.E. Barker. We're going to see the K.E. Barker. It'll be the first ship sort of thing that we look at. The K.E. Barker was in the Graving Dry Dock here until Thursday, and then they floated it out because they had to get it out into the water to get the next one. The the K.E. Barker is going to be coming into the water. It's the Mary Turner that's the one that went out. So the K.E. Barker is going to go in this afternoon around 2:30, 3 o'clock. And it's a sight to see if you haven't seen the tugs working those things in. The K.E. Barker is being converted from a 1950s steam-propelled plant to a modern, automated, unmanned, don't have to have any people working there, engine room that's diesel-propelled. The project that they're doing here involves removal of all of the existing steam plant equipment. Then they have to modify the frame where they put the engines, they put the power structure on, and then they're going to install new engines and supporting equipment. What you're going to learn as we go along is that because the new engines aren't at the same level as the old engines, the shaft that goes through that propels the ship doesn't line up, and they're going to float it into the dry dock. They're going to cut off the aft section, the very back. They're building a new aft section down in building 311 that we'll see, and then they'll weld that on again so that the shaft will be able to line up and it'll be repowered. In one particular day at Bay Ship, there'll be about 150 people that are working on the K.E. Barker for that repowering, 150 in one day. Another project that we're going to look at is the barge Mary E. Turner. That's being converted to a Great Lakes style self-unloader. That's the one that was in the dry dock and just got floated out to make room for the K.E. Barker to get its work done. And then when the K.E. Barker's done, they'll float that one out and they'll put the Mary Turner back in to keep working on her, because that's about a 6 or 8 month project. This vessel, the Mary E. Turner, was originally built by Bay Ship back in 1982. I don't know why they changed the name, but at that time it was called the Errol Becker. And it's been in service for 30 years, operating out of Tampa, Florida. It was recently purchased by a company called Grand River Navigation, and it's going to be returned to be a Great Lakes carrier only, just here. As I understand, they think they hauled, I don't know what they hauled down there. potassium phosphorus or something. Somebody told us along the way, and that's a very corrosive material. It was hard on the inside of the hull or whatever, and so now they're bringing it back up here. They're redoing all this stuff like a lot of ships. These ships are like 100 years old. They're still out working. They just have revised them and remodeled them and so forth. It's scheduled to be to have a 250-foot boom. At one of our stations, we'll stop and learn about that. It's had some new cargo separation bulkheads, an electric bow thruster. We'll learn about that, and some new power generation equipment and a new switchboard. Along with the Mary E. Turner, and I can't figure out where this one is, there's the tug Beverly Anderson. That tug has always been mated to the Mary E. Turner for the past 30 years and is operated out of Tampa, Florida. The tug was originally built by Marinette Marine in 1982. It was known then as the tug April Turner. Now it's gone to the tug Beverly Anderson. I don't know why they changed the name, but they do that. And I don't know if you're familiar with how they build the ships versus the tugs, but with this ship, my understanding is that you have to have a crew of, let's say, 30 people for a ship of a certain size. And now you're going to make it into a tug and a barge. The tug and the barges they have, there's one tug, one barge. You don't have a tug that goes in the other barges, but they're mated together, and you only have to have about half the crew. So what happens for a company? Now they can make money. Before they couldn't make money because when you pay these people $100,000 a year, you got 30 of them, pretty darn expensive. If I can get by with 15 instead of 30, I make a lot more money, right? I can make those things go to work. So we've had times when it's not been economical to do things here on the Great Lakes, and maybe now with this tug and barge, you can do things better.
What's the gross revenue for Bay Shipping?
I have both here at Bay Ship, where we've had buildings being built the last several years. We've got a floating dry dock. Some of these pieces that you see, I don't know if these are to a ship or a floating dry dock, but the one we're going to be standing on here is the floating dry dock piece. These are all investments they're making into these shipyards, and that means that we're going to have employment and viability for many years to come. And the same thing is happening at Marinette Marine. I had a lady on the tour this morning that works over there, and they also have a facility they built in Green Bay. So we're very excited here in Wisconsin to have Fincantieri as part of our system. Okay, now we're open, so let's move on.
And the graving dock. Pretty amazing. The doors open up and let all the water in, and they pump them out. Yeah,
Over here, you guys can come closer. Over here we have a graving dock. Graving dock is 1,140 feet long, 140 feet wide, 30 feet deep. What you see on the other end is what we call the gate. It has some series of valves in it. When they want to fill the dock, they open the valves. The water fills up. Doug opened them this morning. He's filling it up. He's the dry dock master. When the water in the dock gets equal to the water in the bay, the gate will drop down into the water. You bring the boat over the top of it. The boat then is positioned in such a place where they previously set blocks to support the vessel. Each vessel's different configuration on the bottom, so they have to set blocks according to a docking plan. When they get the boat in positioned over the blocks that they previously set, they will pull the gate up, close it, open the valve, start the pumps. The water starts going down, and as the water goes down, the boat goes down and sits on the blocks that they previously set.
How long does that take to fill it, and then how long
About
does it take
7
to
hours
empty?
to fill it. Yeah, about
7 hours,
Once-
both ways?
It takes a little longer to pump it out than it does to
Oh,
fill
it does.
normally. So when they get it set, then they're able to do it. In this case, they're putting in the K Barker, which you'll see it down on the other end of the dock. K Barker is going to get a 5-year inspection. All boats on the Great Lakes are required to get an inspection every 5 years by the U.S. Coast Guard and the ABS, which is the American Bureau of Shipping. And then they crawl through, look at the bottom, look at the inside, every place, cargo holds, ballast tanks, engine room, and see that everything is up to par. And if it ain't,
That's the time it gets fixed before they give them a new 5-year certificate to sail. In the case of the Barker, they're going to get a 5-year, but they're also doing a considerable amount of work in the rear end because of the new propulsion system. They're going to cut a section of the stern off and put a new one on. I think you might see the new section being built in the shop that's going to go on the back end. What you're standing on here now is a section for the new floating dry dock that Bay is building for its own use. Along with them sections over there, sections way down there, all the flat ones are for the dry dock. They will build that dry dock, and as you go by around the corner, you will see a section that's already built. They built the smaller sections, I guess around 260, 270 feet, something like that. This one is going to be close to 400 feet long. So then the two sections can operate either individually or as one unit to dock a bigger boat.
What do you use it for?
It would be for dry docking boats, same as this one, only they could use it for the smaller boats while they use this one.
So one of our group of guys will be down telling us more about
The
floating dry dock.
right. I don't want to steal all that stuff. Any other questions
cool.
about the engraving dock?
So this is like 1,000 feet long then?
1,140.
140. Wow, 1,140.
Where does water come from and where does it go?
It comes from the bay. It's just bay water, and then when you pump it out, it goes back in the bay.
And who does the ship inspecting? Is it Bay Shipbuilding employees? Or?
No. The American Bureau of Shipping and Coast Guard has a marine inspection office in town here, and the Bureau has an office in town. They have 4 or 5 inspectors, and they come here. Of course, they take care. They're not only here; they're in Marinette, and they inspect like engines. They go to the valley, and yeah.
How long does that normally take for an inspection?
Oh, they
Say
could
if everything went well with the ship.
They
and there
could
was
probably
nothing
do
wrong.
it in 2 days or so.
2 days?
Do it in 2 days.
So the American Bureau of Shipping is for U.S. flag ships, versus if you're flagged under another country, you have
Okay.
different
Yeah.
organizations.
Oh, I
Yeah,
see.
if we get a boat like from Canada or something, then it's probably Lloyd's of London rather than Navy.
And they send them here then? I mean, they do come.
Regardless of what they're flagged as, is it a 5-year, no matter what?
I think so, but I'm not sure that Canada, I'm quite sure Canada has that restriction, but if you got a boat flagged from Timbuktu or wherever, I'm not sure what the regulations are.
I've not been to Timbuktu, but
This is underneath the platform we were just on, part of the, it's a dry dock, I guess they're building.
To our dry docking, we have our floating dry dock, our 216-foot section. When you were standing over there on top, that was one of the sections for the 432-foot section, which will be supposedly, they're telling us by fall it should be completed, be together. When it is together, it'll make a 654-foot section if they couple them together, and they will work independently, or they can be coupled together to dry dock a 600-foot vessel. But right now, this one is in full operation, totally automated system, not like the old one that it replaced, which came from Manitowoc, which was about 100 years old or better. In fact, it was over 100 years old, where all the valves were cranked by hand and whatever. It took a lot of manpower. This dock in itself, one person can operate the docking procedure, lowering it and raising it. The only other manpower that's required is when they bring the vessel in, they need line handlers. somebody to handle and center the vessel in the dock over the top of the footprint of that vessel. Same as on the large graving dock, they put a print down or the block pattern down of the shape of that hull. And so when over there they pump it out, the vessel goes down. Here the dock comes up and it meets the vessel and takes the vessel out of the water. That's the only difference. But otherwise they use the same blocks. As you see on the end, they're a large cement block. They probably with a 12 by 12 oak timber on there, and they weigh about a ton, I'd say. When you get them in the water, they're quite buoyant. So when they pull a vessel in, they'll use the base ship tug probably to pull that vessel in. Less turbulence. As heavy as those blocks are when they're in the water, they can spin real easy. You'd be surprised, as heavy as they are. Last thing they want to do is have a block with a wedge block like this and spin it the wrong way so it's pointed this way and it digs into the hull of whatever they're going to launch, whatever they're going to dry dock. So they use that small base ship tug for that reason. When they bring that vessel up, since the stern end is normally your heavy end, it's got the engines in, your running gear or whatever, it'll hit first. And the dock senses that, immediately pumps those sections harder, and it levels it off. And then it brings it up. So it takes the guesswork virtually out of bringing that vessel out. It self-levels itself out. They use that dock over in this slip over here for docking Palmer Johnson vessels. Palmer Johnson has a dolly system where they bring their vessels over, and what they do, they'll run their vessel onto the dock. As soon as that dock senses the weight transfer onto the dock, it immediately starts pumping those sections out and balances the dock off, and they can run the dock right on. Run the vessel right on. So it works very, very well for that. Otherwise, in the past, they run it on, go down, they have to stop the operation, start the pumps, pump it out. This way, as soon as it starts, it immediately starts pumping out. So it's a totally automated system. Mary Turner over here we built that ship, or that barge, I should say, in 1982. It was a Becker barge at that time. It was used in the Florida region. It holds phosphate, which is a highly corrosive material, and so she's getting a lot of steel work on the inside. They're replacing a lot of plate and that's deteriorated because of that material. She's also going to get a new unloading system, and that white boom that you see over there will be part of that unloading system. She'll get a new belt, and they'll be using a loop type unloading system where the large belt on the bottom where the cargo drops off into will make a complete loop up into that gooseneck, what you see up there, the cargo will drop through that round spool, what you see on the underside of that, onto the boom and then off the ship. That loop system runs with two belts. It runs the main cargo belt that transfers, but as it makes that turn, it runs with another belt, and they run together. So when they make that turn, the material transfers from one belt to the other and drops off. So that's how that operates. She's about 600 foot long, and she's a barge, so she's pushed by a tug. Any questions?
The gray section, is that added new?
No, that was.
How deep the boat is sitting in the water. Usually, this boat like here will be between 23, 24 feet. But it all depends upon what port they can get into or what the depth of the water is. They'll load to that point, and then the boat will stay at that. As they load cargo, they have ballast in. And as they load cargo, they'll pump ballast out to keep that even depth.
At the 24 feet or
At
23
24,
or whatever.
23, whatever the depth of
When
water
the
they're
water
operating
is
in.
low.
Right, then they can't go that deep. Then
Yeah, so
When
So the boat itself will always be at 23, 24, whether it's full or empty, because they'll put the ballast in the tanks to keep it at that level.
It's your propellers or your power underwater,
Yeah.
deep enough in your controls. Set underneath bulkhead or frame. So you haven't got
we're in one of the fabrication shops here at the base ship. An old shop boy, this is pretty cool. Well, it seems collectively these three shipyards have the horsepower to boost our Door County economy for years to come, as they have in the past. We're fortunate to have them here. We're also very fortunate that they allow a shipyard tour once a year like this. We encourage you to join us next year. Door County Social thanks you.